So yeah, I'm very happy to be here. I will be taking the next 20-25 minutes to talk about thinking beyond the box and really how to amplify human creativity with AI and the R-commerce. R-commerce stands for relationship commerce. Just a quick question. Anyone familiar with R-commerce already? Just raise your hand. It's also a good exercise because I know we've been here for quite some time. Okay, not so many hands. So this is going to be the second part of my presentation then. So you will hear more about that. So before we start, I really want to talk or take a moment, take a pause to just quickly think about thinking beyond the box. I'm pretty sure every one of you has already heard this phrase, I don't know, 100 times in their work, maybe also in private. But have you ever thought what it actually means and maybe also where it comes from? So let's do a little thinking exercise. So actually thinking outside the box or thinking beyond the box originates from this mathematical puzzle or quiz, which originates, I think, sometime in the 1900s. And the challenge here is to, let's see if my laser pointer is working. Well, not. So you just have to imagine it. Basically, to connect all 9 dots with 4 lines or less and without lifting a pen. And if you just try it in your mind a few times, you see that it looks impossible, right? It looks like it can't be done. So here's the solution. Well, the solution is basically to expand your horizon, to think outside the box, to go above and beyond, and really to widen your horizon. So this just as a little starter, as a little food for thought, if you will. So hello again, I'm Florian, country manager DACH at Fiverr. Quick question, who of you doesn't know Fiverr? Okay, very few hands. So everyone else, bear with me. It's going to be a 30-second pitch, and then we will just dive into the topic. So Fiverr is an online freelance marketplace that connects basically businesses and freelance talent. And we currently have roughly about, I think, 700 categories. So I always say anything you can imagine as a digital service probably will find some expert on our platform. We're listed on the New York Stock Exchange. We have users from, I think, more than 160 countries and currently about 4.2 million buyers and growing. And we just had our birthday on Valentine's Day, so we turned 14 years old. So, because many people actually do think or wouldn't expect us already to be around that long. So, this was the 30 seconds. Now we dive right into the presentation. And I would like to start with a small video from the, I think, quite famous show Mad Men. It's a show about marketing and advertisement executives sometime in the 1960s. And I really want to start with that because that really shows how marketing has been and how the evolution through different technologies until today has developed. So here you will see in a second, marketing executive Don Draper is his name, telling us how marketing worked in the 1960s and how you could basically attract your potential or your current customers through advertisements. So let's see if that works.
Advertising is based on one thing.
Okay, it works, but no tone. Happiness. So basically, I will just kind of tell you what he's saying.
It's the smell of a new car. It's freedom from fear. It's a billboard on the side of the road that screams with reassurance that whatever you're doing, it's okay.
So what did he say? He said it's to make your customers happy. It's basically to be aspirational and basically to have one marketing message. And he also mentioned a billboard. And this is very interesting because obviously this relates to the from one advertisement to today multiple advertisement because there are different changes, or actually a lot has changed until today. So basically if we look at the 1960s, basically, it was enough to have a, let's say, smart marketing executive, have a good idea and have like one advertisement. For example, his billboard and advertise your car and people would buy it. But today, there's been a very big power shift. So it used to be a company's market, if you will, but now it's obviously customer focused, customer centric. So now you have to cater to a lot of different customer audiences, target audience. So there's been a big power shift since it's a customer market. Customer journey. Customer journey was easy then. Let's say an ad in a newspaper and maybe a billboard, and I'm exaggerating, of course, but you had your client. Today, it's offline, it's online, it's a mix of offline and online, digital out of home. Online, it's not just online, it's, I don't know, search, it's PPC, it's all the social media channels, and there's one popping up every few months. So there's so much going on, so many different touch points with your customers. Then it's change. In the 1960s, maybe it was enough to change your advertisement every 3-6 months, and you could run one advertisement for a long, long time. Now, I'm pretty sure all of you do it. You're doing testing all the time. You're maybe changing your ad creators every day, every week. So there's so much more going on. And also when it came to customization, which is my last point here, basically then you had one message that fit kind of everyone. And now you as a company obviously need your marketing message, but then you have to adjust it to the different audiences, to different cultures, different countries. So much really has changed. And the question is, or actually we can see now in our next slide, every time there was a change, there was like some kind of technology usually involved. So over the last 50, 60 years, we had different stages where there were like those really important changes. So starting in the 1990s with the rise of the internet, first time people had access to massive amounts of information, like so much. Before that, they, I don't know, had to go to a library to read up on stuff and so now they could just, the customers or the customers itself, they are way more informed. So this is, let's say, the first shift also towards the customer market, right? And then the whole digital experience started obviously with the internet. So then we have the 2000s, we have social media, we have customized content, tailored content, we have the rise of the content creator. So I think everyone's super familiar with content creators today, and they are like everywhere, right? And everyone's working with content creators and content creation, but if you just realize it, this is like from the 2000s, so it's maybe like kind of 20 years old. So in the overall scope, it's super young, but we just like are used to it so much. And then in 2010, content creators became influencers, and influencers also until today do have a lot of power, and user-generated content became more important because in the end, what does a customer want? I mean, or who does a customer buy from? I mean, first he listens maybe to family and friends and neighbors, and then people he or she finds very approachable, for example, influencers. So we had all those technologies that led us from the, let's say, seller market or company market towards a customer-centric market. And what do we have today? Take a guess. Yes, it's AI. Well, it's generative AI. So since 2020s, we do have the great revolution of generative AI. And yeah, I mean, probably all of you have already tried some generative AI. I mean, I would say at least since the end of 2022, like a year and a half ago, ChatGPT started to be available to a broader public. Probably all of you have done some prompting, got some interesting results. Some were good, some maybe not so good. And so then we had those tools like Midjourney and DALL-E, where you could type in prompts and you got images. And today we have this crazy new technology from OpenAI that's called Sora that just came out, I think, maybe a week ago, where you put in some prompts and you basically get a video which is really so I saw some examples. It's really amazing quality. So the question is, where do we go? And here it says, I want to break free, or we all want to break free, or maybe even need to break free, because with AI, I think the sky is the limit. We have those technological advancements that we've seen in just 1 year. So who can really say what's going to be at the next E-commerce Expo? I'm really excited to see that. And especially with, for example, Sora, I just mentioned, you can really see those technological advancements from the early ChatGPT, maybe ChatGPT 2 and then 3, and then to now, which has been like a little over a year, so that's really crazy to see. I also brought you some numbers. So AI trend-wise, us on Fiverr, we did some research, and basically we saw that at the beginning of last year, most companies on Fiverr were looking for, let's say, AI, proofreading for AI. They were looking for freelancers to do some testing, some experimentation, probably didn't really know yet how to use AI. Then over the time of last year, we could actually see that ChatGPT had the same amount of searches like Facebook, which is crazy to just think about it, like how much or how interested people are in AI. And I think also searches in general, when it came to AI, they rose like 1,500%. So really, like there was a high demand and interest. And at the end of last year, we could actually see that searches got more refined. So I would say companies maybe figured out what they needed, what they wanted. So we had like people looking for prompt engineers or AI developers to really implement those tools and technologies into their businesses. And yeah, I mean, I mentioned that already a little bit, where the trend will go with the new text-to-video tool Sora, but you can also see that with ChatGPT, for example. If you look at early versions for ChatGPT, now we have, I think, ChatGPT 4, if I'm not mistaken, which is so much better than 2, which was barely a year ago. So it's really going to be very interesting to see where those trends will go. And like I said, let's just meet up here next year and see what's happened. I'm really interested to see that. And I guess, or I hope you too. And basically, this brings me to the second part, e-commerce. I know almost none of you raised their hands, so I hope this is going to be very new for you or interesting. E-commerce basically stands for relationship commerce. And what that means is, I mean, probably all or most of us work online, right? This is an E-commerce Expo, so we all basically have our home in the digital world. And e-commerce, like I said, stands for relationship commerce and really aims to basically give the customers, your customers and your future customers, the same care and attention as if they would just go to a physical store. And so it's all about personalization and empathy towards your customers. And like I said, R stands for relationship. And why is this so important, especially right now? It's actually three things. Especially in Europe, we do have stricter legal frameworks. We do have the GDPR, and regulations on privacy are getting more and more strict. Then there's the demise of the third-party cookies, so we have less data available. Then we do have the opportunity with new technologies such as AI, which can take off workload, like repetitive tasks, for example. I mean, we do see also great advancements, for example, in chatbots. I think there are already chatbots where people having a hard time to actually understand if it's a human or not. And like I mentioned, the emancipation of the customers. People are really craving for personalized experience. They want to be seen as a person, and they want to have their individual customer journey, if you will, when they decide if they don't do a purchase. And then how do we create a relationship? Relationship is always based on trust. And only with trust we can build long-lasting relationships. I mean, obviously we can do with marketing strategies, we can get sales, but only we can build long-term, in the short term, I mean, but only in the long term can we really build those long-lasting relationships when we really have the customers or the future customers trust us. And now, since we are here in Germany, I know this is an international audience, but probably many of you know or have heard that I would say the Germans are not the most trusting people. So especially in Germany, it's even more of a challenge to make people trust you. And for that, I was too fast. So basically for that, I want to give you 5 C's. It's from a Harvard Business Review study, 5 C's. When you apply those in your business, you can really make your customer or your future customer trust you. So the first one is clarity. This, I think, is especially important when the audience doesn't know you yet, when it's people that don't know you yet, to really relay your message in a clear, concise way and really be upfront and really transparent in everything you're doing and saying. The next one would be compassion. So this is maybe every one of you take a moment just to think about what can I do in my business that people trust me, that people trust me. And if you can answer that, then it already went a very, very long way. And the third one is competency. I mean, that's an easy one, I would say. Just know what you're doing, potentially be a thought leader, always be advancing with new trends, and just showcase that you know what you're doing. The next one is connection. It's really to not just be a business, but build an interesting story for your audience, for your potential audience, and really also be approachable. I mean, like I said, we are all online, but you really need to make that connection with the human touch, and you really need to care about your audience. And lastly, it's consistency. It's have a messaging and stick to that messaging, and basically really be consistent throughout all your channels, and also work together with your audience, with your customers. And then, last 2 slides, let's go back really quickly to the beginning with the example and thinking beyond the box. So basically, it used to be one line, one customer funnel, one customer journey. Now it's a lot of lines, so you really need to think outside the box. You need to be extra creative to really approach all the different customers and all the different audience there are. And that's why every relationship is unique. I guess in an ideal scenario, we need to build one customer funnel for each individual customer, which obviously is a bit hard to do, but really think in those segments and try to make them as granular as possible, and use AI. Like I said, AI, you can use it for analyzing your data, getting meaningful output of the data that you still do receive, especially first-party data. And then you can, for example, chatbot. I think chatbot is always a good idea. I mean, you can use chatbots and implement those, and you can really let AI take the workload off you, and you do the creative part. But one thing I think, and this is like my last sentence, whenever you're implementing all those technologies and everything, never forget to keep the human touch. Thank you.
So how do you build and maintain trust among users, particularly in this digital environment that we're in?
Yeah, so we do build trust, especially, I mean, we do have our, I would say, standard things such as we have different review platforms. We are listening to the comments. We take it really serious. We talk to the people. So, for example, OMR reviews, but we also internally have a rating system so people can give, I mean, buyer and freelancer can give feedback to each other. So we do all that. And we take our customers, like we really take it very seriously if they come with feedback, and we listen to them and implement that. But I think one thing that I always really like, and maybe it's a good example for the audience or for those who are still here. So we do webinars with freelancers, but also with buyers, and we invite them and really discuss like what can be done better, what is working, and even sometimes our executives, so it's not just, so it's basically like all the way to the top are joining those webinars, which I think is really cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, executive sponsoring always helps. Yeah. Great commitment. Thank you.
Thank you.
And one last question, if there's not from the audience, what major changes do you observe generally in the freelancer market now, and maybe also potentially for the future?
Yeah, I mean, generally in the freelancer market, I think overall there's a general generational change. So I mean, we are 14 years old, so we can definitely see that younger generations are way more interested in the ways of new work, which are very freelancers in general live the way of new work, right? Using new technologies, working remotely. But the general human workforce is also more and more interested in that. And actually we can see that I think by 2036, about 13 million people will actually leave that workforce. And who's coming? It's the people that are really interested in new work, which is also the way of the freelancer. So we can actually see a lot more interest in freelancing.